How to learn a language in 7 days. You can't. You cannot do that. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later. I'm just playing, although that would be a dope video. The truth is that you can drastically improve your language speaking ability over the course of 7 days if you focus on the correct things, and that's exactly what we have for you today. Enjoy. The effects of language learning compound, which means that you need to stick with it for an extended period of time, and then sometimes it just goes, and all of a sudden, overnight, you have a huge jump and things start to click.
Quali lingue parli?
Spagnolo, francese e inglese.
Ok, entonces hablamos en español. En français? En français c'est mieux?
Ah oui.
Ah oui.
You are going to have to worry about your input, and you are going to also have to worry about your output. Most people will tell you, if you are part of the input class, is that you need to have hours and hours and hours of input, and then you will start to speak. What I've found is that a balance between the two can actually do wonders. For those of you that don't understand what comprehensible input is, the idea is essentially that everything that you're learning in your new language, you want it to be intelligible to you. You want to understand it. Somewhere from 80 to 90, maybe even 95% at the beginning, meaning that there's only 5%, just a few words that you don't understand, but you will probably be able to figure out with context. Do not jump straight to the dictionary every second that you can. If you let your brain solve something, it will stick longer. If you always run to the dictionary to try and find the word, it's like giving an answer. It's like someone solving something for you. You haven't done the work. The key is in consistency and concentration, not necessarily in the amount of time you've spent. A lot of people complain about living in a place for 2 months, 3 months, and not learning anything, but they spent most of their time in English in their comfort zone. Consistency is a superpower. If you have the ability to stay orderly and consistent with your learning, whether that's 30 minutes or 15, you will show incredible gains. If you take breaks, and by breaks, I'm not saying that you take necessarily a day off, but that you take a week off, then 3 weeks, 2 months, right? Your gains won't be as good. When you're in the beginning stage, you've got to be balls to the wall. It's got to be going. You've got to put that work in until you get off the ground. Once you're off the ground and the wind is carrying you, you can coast a little bit to get that breather. But at the beginning, you've got to commit. 30 days is the minimum that I would say, minimum, depending on how much time you have. 90 days is somewhere along the lines where things really click. It's not that you were not communicating before that, it's that where it feels like it starts to click. I found that when I learned Serbian, where they have a completely new alphabet, a new script. It's not the Latin script, and Slavic languages are not like English languages at all. Consistency will take you further. Next is concentration. This is something that I've seen completely ignored, but it saved me. Because if you're watching this video, you had an idea that you want to learn this as quick as possible. That's why you clicked. It says 7 days. 7 days doesn't seem like a long time to you. Well, your ability to concentrate is directly correlated to your ability to retain information and to learn quicker. And that means those of you that are unfamiliar with the term deep work, you should be in deep work or a state of flow while you're learning. This is the secret gold of learning a language. If you can master the ability for your concentration to be at its peak, for you to be in a state of flow, and the things that are required to reach a state of flow are actually relaxation. You have to be in a place where you don't feel pressure. And whether that pressure is coming from you or from someone outside of you, right? Or your friends and all this stuff, you're not in a state of flow. Most of the research is in on this. The less pressure you feel, the more relaxed you are while practicing. Once you get into that stressful situation, you will be able to perform. All right? So don't put that stress on yourself. You've got to get yourself into a state of flow. It requires you also eating correctly, getting enough sleep before you study. Many of you guys watching this are living tons. You're living your lives. You're doing all the stuff that you know you have to do. And then you're trying to fit a little bit of language learning into your life. And it has to be the other way around. And that's how I've made it. And that is the way I would suggest all of you do that. And because if you can, then you won't have to use your willpower in order to learn. Okay? So what do you actually do if you only have 7 days to learn a language? Here's what I would do. First, we've got to find out what kind of learner you even are. That might sound crazy to some of you, but we don't all learn the same. Yet we teach in almost the exact same way for all of the students. You might be audio, visual, kinesthetic learner. You have to figure out what is the best way, what keeps your attention, what do you retain, what do you gravitate towards. Now, we all have the ability to learn through all of these ways, but you probably gravitate towards one. The reason it's so important for you to understand how you learn is because you're going to spend all of your time doing one of these three things. Hopefully, you can figure out a way to combine all of them if you feel you're a balanced learner. But if you don't, and if you know that you learn best through audio, or if you learn best through reading, then you have to spend your time doing that. The 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, simply stating that 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your actions. If you spend more time doing the thing that's going to help you learn quicker and faster and easier with less effort, then you will get better results. This one thing alone will change the way that you study languages because it will leave off the fluff. That is the entire idea and goal behind Golarimi Languages and the Golang newsletter and the Golang course. We want to remove the fluff. Get rid of the crap and it will be way, way easier. The next thing to do is to find a short video, 5 to 10 minutes max. When you're in this is your first 7 days. I don't want you to go choose the movie that you want to watch or the movie that you've seen before and go watch it in another language just because you know I want 5 to 10 minutes. Why? Because even though it's a movie and it's 90 minutes long, he might have said the word apple right here at the beginning and he might say apple at the end. You're not going to watch this movie every day. I don't care how much some of you guys like some of those series, Game of Thrones or whatever. I never watched Game of Thrones or Harry Potter. Didn't watch that either. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever you're watching, the point is that you want to make this video 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning. Why? Because I want you to be able to repeat. You're going to start to notice that once you've gone through that 5-minute video and you go back, all right, cool. I missed that this time. Maybe this time I don't understand the word. I know it because it's the second or third time I've watched it. Now I can look up the word. Then I go back and watch it. It's 5 to 10 minutes, right? And you've mastered this. And the idea here is to not choose something random. Number one, it has to be interesting. And number two, it has to be something that you want to learn and in your area. Meaning, if you are going to go out and start gardening, you choose a 5 to 10 minute video that has some simple gardening instructions. That way you can learn what it is so that you can go outside and touch the scissors, the leaves, the plant, the bench, all of those things. So you can then reinforce that layer upon layer. You must stack. The way to learn languages is to stack. That's what happens in an immersion setting. You just get overwhelmed with it. It's not stacking. You're just all on your face, right? The whole country's just up in your face. And that's just how it is, right? Well, you can do this. You can create environments. That is the key behind this. If you want to be a self-taught language learner, you have to create worlds. Last, but definitely not least, assuming that you're not learning a new script, make sure to find a book that you can read. This book, once again, is not a 300-page thriller. This is something incredibly small. Most of us aren't going to be interested in kids' books, but there's enough resources out there for the majority of languages with interesting stories and things, whether they're short stories or half stories, that you can read and look. There's no need for you to necessarily watch this video if you're spending 6 hours a day learning. Hopefully you're not wasting your time, but you get the point. Those of you guys that are here have other lives and want to figure out a way to hack this so that you can get things done. This is the way to do that. It's up to you how you want to break this down based on how you learn. Ideally, you're not doing any sort of passive listening. It's active, meaning that you are putting all of your attention, all of it, not in the car while you're driving, not while you're doing the dishes and listening, all of it. Sit, stop, watch, sit, stop, and listen. Get your mind activated and imagine yourself in those situations. Put yourself in those situations. If I could pass along one thing, it would be this, is that you are not concentrating enough. You have more power than you think you do. You have more ability than you think you do. You're not that bad at learning languages. That is what I've found. And I've helped people learn languages that have gotten to levels that they never thought they would ever be in. And it's their first time learning a new language. And by following these things, they have actually made progress where they have failed. Some of them for 30 years, some of them for even longer. It will work. Put in the effort, do the stuff, subscribe, like, comment down below, and we will see you guys soon, probably tomorrow. Peace.